Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings, and we generally like to talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general. And in this video we're going to be talking about a racing / betting game that features camels. We'll be talking about Camel Up, or maybe Camel Cup. It's been hotly debated over the years, right? In this game you will be betting on different camels. You'll be attempting to slow them down, and essentially you'll just be betting on the camels that you think will come first at the end of each leg and at the end of the game. So in this video we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules, be telling you what we do like, what we don't like. We'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not Camel Up, still worth playing. 7 years after it was first released in 2014. Has had a reprint since then. Don't know nothing about that, so I ain't going to talk about that. If you want to know about the reprint, go and watch another bloody video. So remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in the section down below. We'll see you after this. Bollocks. So Camel Up Cup is a racing / betting game. You're going to put the 5 coloured dice into the pyramid. You're going to place a pyramid in the centre of the board. Then you're going to place each of the coloured camels onto their respective coloured tents on the board, right? Each player will then get 5 racing betting cards and 1 desert tile. They'll be given 3 Egyptian pounds, and then you'll give the start race marker to a random player, right? Usually me. Once you've done all that, then the starting space for the camels will be determined. You'll roll each of the coloured dice, and then you'll place each camel that many spaces away from the start space. If any camels are on the same space, then you'll have camel stacks, camel units. Camel stacks are any camels that are on top of each other. If any camel lands on the same space, then you'll stick it on top of any camel stacks that are in that space. A camel unit is either a single camel on a space or a stack of camels on a space, right? Is that confusing? Or am I just stupid? So the game consists of several legs. A leg is when each one of the 5 dice has been removed from the pyramid and rolled. That means each camel will move once per leg, right? So on your turn you'll be able to take one of the following options. You'll be able to take a leg betting tile. You'll be able to place your desert tile on the board. You'll be able to take a pyramid tile, or you'll be able to bet on the overall winner or the overall loser, right? So if you take a leg betting tile, you will take the tile associated with the camel. On these tiles there are a number of Egyptian pounds. The sooner you take these tiles, the more lucrative the rewards are going to be, right? So it's in your interest to get as many of these as you possibly can. The only problem being is that if you misjudge or cock up or bugger it up, then you're going to be losing Egyptian pounds if your camel that you bet on comes in the final 2 spaces, yeah? So it's a bit of a risk reward thing going on here. So the next thing you can do is you place your desert tile on the board, right? There's 2 sides to the desert tile. You've got the oasis side, you've got the mirage side. If you place it on the oasis side, then if a camel lands on that space, or a camel stack lands on that space I should say, then it will move 1 space forward. If it lands on the mirage side, then it will move 1 space backwards. So this is a sort of a take that sort of thing going on. So next thing you could do is you could take a pyramid tile. Each pyramid tile is worth 1 Egyptian coin. You will take that at the end of the leg, and this will allow you to take the pyramid structure that is in the centre of the board, give it a good old shake, and then let a little tiny pebble dash thing plop out of the pyramid. So when a die plops out of the pyramid, then you will take the camel that matches the coloured die and you will move it that number of spaces. If that camel is at the bottom of the stack, you will move all camels that are on top of it as a camel unit. And obviously if that camel that you're moving moves on to the same space as another camel, then that will be amalgamated and assimilated in a sort of David Cronenberg society camel mass. So the final thing you could do is you could bet on the overall winner or the overall loser, right? All you'll do is you'll take one of your race betting cards and you'll place it on the relevant spot on the board, right? This will give you points at the end of the game, and if you don't want to bet on the overall winner, then you can also bet on the overall loser. Obviously there's a hierarchy, a pecking order. The quicker you get these cards into the stack, the more points you are going to get. So once all the dice have been placed onto the board, once you've emptied the pyramid, then that will be the end of a leg, and you'll do the following intermediate scoring. For each leg betting tile that you got with the leading camel, the player gains the number of Egyptian pounds on the tile, either 5, 3 or 2. For each leg betting tile of the camel in second place, the player gains 1 Egyptian pound, and for each leg betting tile of any other camel, you will lose Egyptian pounds. And for each pyramid tile, you'll get 1 Egyptian pound. Then you'll replace all the tiles back where you got them from, and you'll place all the dice back into the pyramid, and you'll go for another leg. The game will end as soon as one of the camels crosses the finish line, and then you'll do a final load of end of leg scoring, and then you'll gain a bit of dosh depending on what cards you placed on the board, right? So the player that has placed the first card showing the actual winner of the race gains 8 Egyptian pounds. Then the player who placed the second card showing the winner receives 5, the third 3, the fourth 2, and all others 1. So it's like sort of Formula 1 scoring for camels, you know what I mean? And then you'll do the same for the actual loser, and then the player with the most Egyptian pounds at the end of the game will be the winner of Camel Up. So what do we like about Camel Up? Or Camel Cup? 2 camels, 1 cup. So the first thing that we really like about Camel Up is that the camels change order quite regularly. And this means that you never know who is going to come in first place. Another good thing about this game is that you never know how many legs are going to be played, because if you're rolling low numbers all the time, there's going to be more legs and more opportunities for scoring. Conversely, if you're rolling high numbers all the time, there's going to be a lot less legs, so there's going to be less opportunity for scoring. You really don't know what's going to happen, and this is that classic mitigation of randomness, and it works really, really well in this game. Yeah. Second thing we like about Camel Up is that the pyramid contraption is bloody fantastic, isn't it? Who the hell thought up this thing? My kids love playing around with this. They love just shaking a pyramid and then pressing the little lever thing and just seeing what plops out the pyramid's bumhole, yeah? And maybe that's a con, because when you're playing with kids, all they want to do is shake the pyramid. It is a little bit flimsy though. Sometimes we've had trouble with the elastic band snapping, and the actual lever itself has got a little bit warped over time, but it is a fantastic contraption, isn't it? It's just, you really never know which one is going to come out. Whoever created that, you need to be knighted, don't you, really? Maybe not. So the final thing that we like about Camel Up is the mechanism where you've got camel units and camel stacks, yeah, and these can split, they can amalgamate, and it really is the central focus mechanism of the game for us. The fact that you can put your camel on top and it is considered to be in the lead, but the rear camel is the one that drives all the camels forward, is absolute genius, and it really does add an element of chaos and uncertainty to the game that you have to mitigate with good judgment, or maybe you're just going to throw your betting cards in the air and hope for the best. It doesn't really matter, because this game is really just an exercise in frivolity, and sometimes you just need to pump that into your veins, don't you? So what don't we like about Camel Up? First thing we don't like about Camel Up is the board is too bloody small. Yeah, it means that the game don't really last very long. There's going to be sort of choke points. Camels are going to get bundled up too quickly, and what you really need is the Super Cup expansion for this. I know we said there's a reprint, we haven't played that, but we're talking about the original version of this. The Super Cup expansion comes with a board extension that makes the game just that little bit longer and makes it that little bit more fairer. It just adds a few more spaces to the game, and it sort of fixes that problem with the small board. So my advice to you, if you are thinking about Camel Up and picking up this bargain bucket version, try and find a Super Cup expansion, because it will tickle your fancy more than the board that's included in the core set, you know. So the next thing we don't like about Camel Up is that, seeing as we played this about 6,000 times, some of the options are more appealing than others. I said that my kids love to mess about with the pyramid contraption, and they will always gravitate towards that, not really interested in betting. They just want to see which camel's going to finish the race. But if you're playing with adults, which I don't really play with that often, so can't really class my mum as an adult. If you're playing with older players, then some of the options like the desert tile doesn't really get used that often, and people are generally going to be either taking the pyramid tile or they're going to be taking the leg betting tile. Yeah, the other two things generally don't get used as much. So yeah, again, the Super Cup expansion may fix this problem, because it does add a few more bits and pieces to an otherwise game that is sort of lacking in meaningful options, you know. So the final thing that we don't like about Camel Up, and this is sort of an amalgamation of a couple of other points that we mentioned earlier, is that the game is over far too quickly, and this is a symptom of a small board and a lack of options. Yeah, you're only going to have 1 out of 4 things to do on your turn, and really most people that we have played this with are going to be choosing 2 options more than others, right? So it really does mean that the game length is shortened quite a bit, and maybe that was the designer's intent. Maybe he wanted to make a very quick betting game, but we do actually think that the Camel Up Super Cup expansion sort of fleshes this game out, and it sort of seems like half of that expansion should have been dumped into the core set from the off, but it wasn't. So you just have to spend some more money, ain't you, as always. So to summarise, is Camel Up, Camel Cup, still worth your time and bother 7 years after it was first released? So we're going to say yes, this is a decent enough betting / racing game. Some people say this isn't a racing game. Well, I've got news for you. Up your bum. This won the Spiel des Jahres back in 2014, so it's got to be good, isn't it? Does feel a little bit half-baked if you've just got the core set. Don't feel like there's a lot of options in there, not a lot of content. But if you add the Super Cup expansion, those problems are eradicated. The only problem being is that if you add the Super Cup expansion, it does add a lot of bloat. You've got some pointless crap in there, like the photographer and all that sort of thing. So what they should have done is made the board bigger, give you that extra camel that adds a bit of chaos, and maybe just dump the rest of the shit out of the Super Cup expansion. This may be fixed in the new version, I don't know. Go and watch another video on that one. But as it stands, if you can find this cheap, it should be cheap by now. Get the Super Cup expansion and just have a laugh with it. You don't have to worry about winning or losing. I know some of you follow the Bill Shankly philosophy of winning and losing isn't life or death. It's more important than that. But yeah, just go out, have a laugh, listen to the bin men, take in out my recycling, and we'll see you in the next video.